Thank you for stopping by Kaleidoscope Toy and Miniature Australian Shepherds and joining us on our hike. In this video, we're going to talk about building connection with your dog without using treats. Welcome to Kaleidoscope Toy and Miniature Australian Shepherds. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. We're out for our evening hike, January 4th. I just was going to talk a little bit about connection with your dog and how important that is and how it doesn't have anything to do with treats. I think that you actually cheapen your relationship with your dog if everything's based on a treat reward. It gets really confusing for people because when you go to a dog training class, and especially a puppy training class, there are a lot of treats involved. And I use treats with my puppies also just to get them, and I'll show you with my puppies that I have. They're just a little bit young yet, but just to get them to go into a position, such as sit or down or stand, and with no verbal cue because dogs don't speak English, and just to start giving them the idea of following my hand, following the treat, and that kind of thing. But my adult dogs, they don't see treats hardly ever. Because what I do is I make a relationship with my dogs, and that's just based on they want to be with me. And that starts when they're really little, building that relationship and building that connection. And I firmly believe that if you're constantly dispensing treats, that's all the dogs can think about, and they really don't have a connection with you. And you can go prove that to yourself by taking that treat-trained dog that you've had through puppy and then basic and then CGC and blah blah, and go out and try to do everything you did in one of those classes without treats. And you'll find pretty quick that the dog is so used to getting overpaid, because every time they do any little thing, it's food, and they're way overpaid. That pretty quick they're going to lose interest because they really don't have the relationship with you that you thought they had. They actually have a relationship with the food. So there needs to be a balance between payment and work. Okay? I mean, dogs are, come on, let's go. Let's see that. Come on, Tessa, that's you too. When I speak to them and say, let's go, and I start walking, they're with me, okay? And that's because they are connected to me. We have a connection. Now, I'm out hiking. I don't expect my dogs to be right underneath my feet, right at my side. You know, they're out having a good time. This is their time to just be dogs. But when I speak to them and let them know that I'm moving and I want them to come with me, as soon as I speak to them, they're right there. And that doesn't have anything to do with food. That has to do with the connection. So what I'm working on with the puppies that are still in the whelping box is them getting connected to just the human smell, the human touch. And when I start their first little bit of training, I won't use treats, but then I will, and I'll explain all that to you later too. But treats should be payment for Treats should be payment for a job performed. And one little sit or one little down or one little whatever doesn't earn a dog a paycheck, okay? Also, they need to be accountable for their actions, and they need to be trained that there are limitations to what they can do, and that there are boundaries when it comes to soliciting attention from me. They can't jump up on me. They can't bark in my face. And so many people freak out when you start talking about discipline because they think of it as punishment. And there's a difference. There's a huge difference between discipline and punishment. When I'm disciplining my dogs, it's basically just letting them know that something they're doing is inappropriate. And I use my voice. Voice can be pressure, or I might use my body. I might lean into the dog, not touching. You know, I may touch it if it doesn't get out of my way, but I might just step towards the dog. Come on, let's go. Ugh, it's hard to hike and talk. But if you are frustrated with your treat trained, which basically is a trick trained dog, they've turned sit and down and come and stay and all that into a trick when all the treats got involved. And all that started when the big movement was, hey, you know, they can train killer whales with a piece of fish and they can train it to do all kinds of things, so there's no discipline and there's no punishment, so we should be able to do that with our dogs. And guess what? Our dogs don't live in fish tanks. Our dogs are out in the world. So that whole dog and a dolphin movement, how you train dogs solely with positive reinforcement, has failed miserably on the average family pet. And countless dogs have been put to death because their owners have been so brainwashed that any kind of discipline is a no-no. And they'll it's amazing to me how many people will have their dog put to death before they will discipline their dog. And that can be blamed on the modern treat training, 100% positive dog training that has failed people so much. So anyway, the first thing you want to do with your new puppy when you get your puppy home is build connection. And I'm going to show you how to do that with the litter that I have. And mostly that is just spending time with the dog, setting boundaries with the dog, because it's amazing how when you discipline a dog and when you set boundaries, it gets very attracted to you. It gets attracted to you because it wants leadership. Just like a child, it wants leadership. I had to take a little break. I was running out of breath, all the climbing the hills and crossing the creeks and talking. But basically, when you are disciplining a dog, you want to make sure that you keep your emotions out of it, that you don't let things get to the point where now you're so frustrated that you lose patience with your dog. And you really need to know what it is you want from your dog. I mean, when you're getting a new puppy, maybe sit down and write down on a piece of paper what you envision with that dog. What do you see yourself doing with that dog? Where do you plan to take the dog? Are you going to do competitive sports with the dog? Are you going to use the dog for therapy, go into nursing homes, or do you just need a dog? And I shouldn't say just, because one of the hardest things for a dog to be is a family pet. Do you need a dog that's going to fit into your family well, that's going to be able to be taken to places and not be unruly and out of control? And maybe make a list of the things that you want your dog to do so you can visualize them. Because a lot of people, they don't even seem to know what they specifically want the dog to do, but they expect the dog to know specifically what they want the dog to do. So anyway, this has been a little bit about building a connection with your dog, and I'm going to be showing you how I got this connection with the 7 dogs that I have out here on my hike. And I'll show it to you with my puppies, but it does not involve food. Now, as I say, there will be some treat training involved, but building the connection doesn't have anything to do with food. So anyway, thank you so much for watching. I'm getting so impatient waiting for these puppies to get big enough to really start to train behaviors. You know, I've started a lot of the handling and the socialization with human socialization, but as far as getting down to starting to train them actual behaviors, that's still a little ways off. So anyway, thank you so much for watching. We really do appreciate it. I hope you'll consider subscribing to my channel so you can be up on all the puppy updates.